I think I'm live now, and I'm live on Restream on different platforms at the moment because I want to celebrate a milestone. And video has always been one of those places where I feel like I could be myself. So if you don't know me, I'm Susie from a lot of my friends. I'm String on LinkedIn, and the milestone that I want to share is it's been 3 years since I've been on LinkedIn officially. And within those 3 years, I was able to go from 0 to 41,000 followers. There's a difference between LinkedIn connections and LinkedIn followers, and I'm going to share that with you. So I'm going to share my tips, tricks, thoughts on how to be a LinkedIn influencer. And I'm going to have an honest debate and conversation about what a LinkedIn influencer is, because I get a bit awkward around that word itself, but I recognize that, and I understand that with the kind of following that I have on LinkedIn, that I am a LinkedIn influencer. Should I embrace that? Probably. Do I get brand deals because of that? Yes. Do I have access to interesting people because of that? Yes. Do I get speaking gigs because of that? Yes. So having that label itself is atypical because, we know Instagram influencers, YouTube influencers, but LinkedIn influencers is just starting to become a thing in the last year or two. And first I had to test out something because I'm not very familiar with live stream itself. I'm wondering if this is on. Yes, it is. So let me check something. No, changes that you made may not be saved. Okay, so I am on because it is live. Sure. Is it even popping? Oh, it can't post messages to. Oh, bear with me a moment because I'm still testing out LinkedIn and these live stream tools, because I'm trying to do something where I'm trying to be efficient with my time, which is pushing it out onto YouTube, Facebook, and onto LinkedIn as well. So if you're watching this, I'd love to know where you're watching from. If you have questions, I'd love to answer those questions. Otherwise, I'm going to have a monologue conversation and share some of my thoughts and also learnings and key learnings so that you could apply it to your own LinkedIn as well. I'm kind of nervous still, so yeah, great to see. Oh, thanks, Sean. Yeah, I have to say, since you are here from LinkedIn, can you do something about growing? Like, there's newsletters, right? And newsletters allows you to subscribe and get pinged when a newsletter gets released and published. But with LinkedIn Live, there is not much ways of you growing your audience. It's probably one of the biggest reasons why I hesitate going on LinkedIn Live. It's because it's really hard to grow an audience on this, because at least on LinkedIn profiles you have the following button, but and in newsletters you have the subscribe button. But and videos disappears as well. So if doing LinkedIn Live, it makes sense to have some kind of like notification or subscribe button, so that person has like, oh yeah, I want to opt in and watch future live streams as well. So if you think in terms of like Spotify or YouTube channels, there is a subscribe button to allow listeners to tune in, because like live streaming is different from videos. It's more about engagement and audience. So that's probably why I like it. And plus I'm lazy as an editor, and as a community tool, it's actually quite good live streams as well. Hey Max, how do you get newsletter? I write a lot of articles, Oh, that's a good question. Your connections get pinged when you go live though. That is true. First connections or followers? Because this is actually a great segue and anyone who's in LinkedIn, and anyone could like challenge me on this as well. There's a difference between connections and followers, and a lot of people get confused by that because like it's not something that a lot of people are aware about. I have 41 followers, right? But typically LinkedIn is all about networking and connecting as well. So your connections are first degree connections. So what does that mean? First degree connections means that anyone who are connected have permission to have conversations in their DMs. So that means like you could have direct conversation with me. So if you're a first connection with me, that means that about 5,500 people are first connections with me, meaning that they have direct access to my conversations in my DMs. So that means they could go to my DMs and connect with me and have conversations with me. But followers is actually just people who just follow, can't have direct conversations with me in DMs. But what they do is they occasionally, I have a hypothesis on this, they occasionally get, they will get pinged, like Sean mentions, that you'll get notified when I go on LinkedIn. So I'm a follower, see? So Jordan Baines is get pinged when he gets notified. So that's great that you get that. So thank you for following me. So there's a difference. So like I feel like LinkedIn, that's the difference between a LinkedIn influencer is that they get because they push great content typically, and they have a really strong brand or they're known for something, they will gain followers naturally because content creators is one where you could easily gain a following. And a lot of people ask me, one of the most common questions, like how do I gain a following on LinkedIn? Because that's the difference between a content creator, an expert, a thought leader, and a LinkedIn influencer is based on their philosophy about content creation and building an audience. So I guess like the difference between a network is that you get first degree connections, and potentially within that first degree connections, you do business together, right? Whereas an audience is almost like a passive conversation where they consume your content and occasionally have conversations inside comments. So that's the difference. So I thought that's interesting. So this is also a test to see if people are interested in LinkedIn Live generally, because it's not something that I push on a regular basis, which is also, I'm taking accountability, my fault. If I want to like create a regular if I would like to create or if I want to be regular on LinkedIn, specifically on LinkedIn Live, I have to push it out on a regular basis and be known for that, because then that's what my followers would expect, is getting pinged on a regular basis, not on a random basis like this, and getting notified when I'm on live. And because we're so just my followers is mostly overseas, it's finding the right timing too to make sure that I'm live and having conversations with my community as well. Typically, if you have good questions, I will answer that. And so Max, going back to your question, how do you get access to newsletter feature? So newsletter at the moment, this way is more interactive. You can do it occasionally, but it's fine. So I actually think if you do it as a show and like do it as like a weekly show, I do feel like people would rock up. But you have to one thing that I learned on Meerkat, which was a mobile live streaming app, is that you have to push regularly and push high volumes as well. So hey, Kubush, one day after this live stream, I'm going to message you, and I'm going to ask and message you through voice message and ask you, how do you pronounce your name? Because I feel like I just stuffed it up. Can I just call you Boo from now on? Because it's just a cuter and nicer way and more like affectionate way to say hey. But I really love to know how to pronounce your name properly. So Kabush, I'm going to call you Boo from now on, is actually a awesome content creator building up her community. She's what I call an up and coming LinkedIn influencer. Oh, cool. Thanks, Sean. Okay, to answer Max's question, I'm sorry, I'm going back because a lot of people are messaging me. How do you get newsletters features? Do you write a lot of articles? Well, no. I feel like people who have access to newsletters, which is a great feature, by the way, what happens is people subscribe to your newsletters, which is it's better than an article, because an article just sits in your profile but doesn't get distribution. Whereas newsletters, when you subscribe to it, and because I started a year ago, I've been able to grow from 16,000 just by pushing a niche about how to market yourself better. And so people should think about how to niche yourself to the point where if you're a LinkedIn influencer, there are some advantages, which is that you get access to cool features. So that's probably that's the big reason, but very good points. Should people aim to be paid for LinkedIn influencers? How does monetization work? I'm going to answer that because I wouldn't be here if I didn't make money. Because LinkedIn is a powerful place to make money. Let's try that with my last name too. Okay. There's some interesting things and comments on these things. So Christian, a big shout out. Great. When it comes to startups and in Asia Pacifically, he's a great person to know. He's based in Saigon, so as well. So Gabrielle, you know what? You and I have to go on together so we could talk about what an influencer means. Is LinkedIn Premium member an only feature? No, LinkedIn has a lot of features, and the biggest features that I feel like I don't know how to use properly is Sales Navigator. If you know how to use that, sales is going to be legit. Okay, I feel like I have the right. Okay, so first, let's backtrack. Newsletters is great because the whole point of building an audience is that you can monetize that. So when you have a big audience that's super niche, that's really active, and newsletters, a typical email newsletters, have an open rate about 20 to 25%. So if you go higher than that open rate, that means that you can monetize it and reach out to people who are super interested in your topic, and you have a very engaged audience. You go to that brand and say, hey, I have 16,000 followers, which I have on my newsletters. All of them are entrepreneurs, professionals who need to know how to market themselves. I have a 25 to 28% average open rate. Would you like to advertise and promote your brand, your product in my newsletters? I usually get a yes because of that. Yeah, thank you. I went to Singapore and you guys have some really good fried chickens. Was it Three Fingers? Yes. So I feel Mr. KG Ho. I love that. I'm going to call you Mr. KG Ho from now on, because sometimes when you say your name to the full extent, it's more powerful. So you can actually become, that's sort of the advantage of being a LinkedIn influencer compared to a thought leader. Thought leaders, it's all about, I find that most thought leaders, what they do is they position themselves as a speaker or keynote speaker, and they do a lot of consultations. But a LinkedIn influencer is different in terms of that they have their audience, the community is what they monetize. Oh, Ken, thank you. So it's my 3 years anniversary and there are so many things. Yeah, you're missing a finger. Yeah, 4 fingers. I actually had a fried chicken party and I talked about LinkedIn a little bit at this party event. 4 fingers. Yeah, it's 4 fingers. Thank you. Yeah, so if you want to, that's the difference between a content creator can potentially, an active content creator on LinkedIn can be a LinkedIn influencer. And you don't have to have, this is super powerful that I want to emphasize here, like something to note. On YouTube, having 10,000 subscribers is powerful. Having 2,000 active connections with highly engaged in your posts is something that brands don't mind monetizing, right? But if you have 10,000 LinkedIn connections that are relevant to your brand, relevant to the niche that you want, and you know what kind of audience you have, like if you know that it's healthcare, like for example, if you're a healthcare LinkedIn influencer and you talk about health, well-being, it's easy for you as a healthcare LinkedIn influencer to reach out to healthcare brands and talk about like, hey, these like professionals, they need some love in terms of mental health, especially during COVID-19. Would you like to monetize or sponsor some of my content, or sponsor or give me a freebie in terms of product as well. So those are some of the things you could do to monetize as well. So that's how I've been making money. But I have a few income streams actually, and one of them happens to be my startup. So there you go, KG Ho. If you want to be a healthcare industry, I feel like healthcare, mental health is going to be a big, big trend that is going to be, fitness is going to be big, as we could tell. We're going to be in lockdown right now. Remote work is going to be big. Marketing as well is going to be big. These are things that I believe in as well. Okay, so yes. I'm going back and scroll up. Okay, my friend Christian Gonzandorfer, he's German. I think I stuffed up your name, mate. I really did that. Following your work for a while, stream, great work with fried chicken. All right, so Sean Lee, you've been here from the very beginning of the stream, so I'm going to have conversations with you. Agree, quality versus quantity. I have a really big debate about this conversation all the time, but knowing your audience is really good. Why should I pick LinkedIn over? Oh, that's a really good question. So we have two topics that I want to talk about. Like when it comes to being a LinkedIn influencer, knowing your personal brand, what you want to be known for, and cultivating a community over audience. That's another topic as well. Community, what's the difference between an audience, following, network? There's nuances that we have to understand. How to create content to cultivate the community. And this segues perfectly into quality versus quantity. As a marketer, because I have years of marketing and growth hacking stuff, the way that LinkedIn works is almost the way that Facebook works. It's a timeline. So what do I mean by a timeline? This is a timeline, right? We're scrolling till we spot something and stop, scroll and stop, to the point of oh, I stopped the scroll because you found a content that you like. And the way that timeline works is that if you don't post at the right time and get the right engagement, you actually get buried, your content gets buried. So what does that mean? Should you post quality or quantity? This is quality, this is quantity. There's an actual sweet spot that you have to develop. If you're starting out, quantity is actually a good point of pushing content out, finding data points, testing out what works, finding your voice, being fearless, experimenting, right? To the point where you increase your quantity. But a good LinkedIn influencer is a channel, meaning they don't post once per week. They don't post 2 times a week. I remember when I was using LinkedIn in the beginning, I was trying to hit 2 time zones, the Australian, Asia time zone, and the American time zone. So I was pushing twice a day, different content to see what works and what doesn't work. And I grew rapidly in the USA, but I feel like Asia is an unripe place because because I'm going to tell you another thing is that brutal honesty or being authentic is the way of creating awesome content. The more you know who you are, the more you could push out content that reinforces your brand and positioning as an expert and a trusted voice as well. Oh, yes. So what I'm trying to say is that over time, what I notice as a LinkedIn influencer, I'm embracing this title, by the way, is that you have to have a sweet spot of both quality and quantity to have that sweet spot, the candy factor of being entertaining, being a storyteller, understanding your audience. So many nuances, right? It's hard work being an influencer, because by building a sustainable brand as an influencer, especially within the professional realm, you need to be something where you're passionate about and it's worth doing, because you have to talk about it every day. So I push on a minimum once per day. Yes, thank you, Sean. So you're backing my theory because you're very data driven as well. So if going back to Mr. KG Ho's question, why LinkedIn over different platforms? LinkedIn, if you have 10,000 followers on LinkedIn versus 10,000 followers on Instagram as a healthcare or person in health, right? And fitness is a big topic. Who do you think will, depending on what brand you have, I feel like people are willing to pay more for people who has a higher trust factor over a candy factor, right? So Instagram is what I call the candy factor. LinkedIn has a high trust factor, and the opportunity is so much higher on LinkedIn because there's a lot of shit content creators on LinkedIn, meaning there's more opportunities for you to stand out. Yes, I'm telling the truth. Like, I'm a quirky, professional, smart girl on a very stale professional platform because people are too scared to let go of a professional mask. But I'm pretty professional. Like, I know my shit. I'm authentic. I like to back my stuff up. I know how to create an audience. I know how to create engagement. So isn't that professional? Knowing your stuff so well that you could back it up. So that's what a professional means to me. But I noticed something on LinkedIn is that they wear a mask. Yes, people wear a mask on here because they feel like they have to maintain a professional facade of fakeness, of hiding their own truth. But I feel like there's a new age coming, especially during COVID, is that brands and companies are wasting opportunity. They're wasting the assets by not letting and pushing out their thoughts and theories for their own employees. Any stats on users on countries? Oh, Hugh, Tony Hughes. You should connect with Sean Lee Wei Wrong, who's commenting quite a lot because he's a part of LinkedIn. But I could tell that there's this stats that I've found recently that an average LinkedIn person only posts once per week, and that's in the 1 percentile. And there are 650 million LinkedIn users, and only about 1%, even less, I think, are posting regularly on a weekly basis. So the opportunity just to push out content, and especially with your brains, Tony Hughes, is astounding. And I feel like, and there's ways of optimizing your content to grab attention as well. So Jordan Baines asked, do LinkedIn influencers who post faux pas, fake motivational posts, recycle stories for likes and interactions have more power, traction, and influence? No, because what they do is they're just gamifying and this is my theory about good influence and bad influence. And influencers tend to, the bad influences that I call bad influences, they play the short-term game where they try to play their algorithm, and you can't play the algorithm because it changes all the time. So there's no point. You can play it and then you leverage it, but because it changes all the time, there's no point doing that. Otherwise, you'd be playing this rat race game of chasing the likes, the conversations, and the audience, when what happens is that you create a candy factor, or the sugar rush, I call it. When you create the sugar rush of recycling unoriginal work, someone else's work, you don't really build up your social capital of trust. And what happens is when they realize that they could get the candy factor or the sugar rush from another LinkedIn influencer or other influencers, they will just go to that person. So your sustainability of audience retention goes down dramatically because you don't create original content. So if you want to build up a sustainable brand, you have to be authentic to who you are, what you believe in, and what you represent. Oh, thank you. All right. So this is some good questions, and I feel like that's what I think. You could be a candy person or not. What makes a good video? How do you think about the structure, scripting, edit? Oh, okay. I created a 5-day video challenge within my community, 29 participants, over 101 videos, 1,200 comments, 1,500 reactions. So I had a really engaged community who participated within that 5 days and dedicated their time, their energy to be on video. And I realized like a lot of professionals fear the video, and even though we're on Zoom all the time now, it's because of that face, you know, the professional mask. They feel like they have to hide themselves. But the biggest fear that I've seen so far is that they're scared of showing their true self, voicing out their own opinions. And I'm going to pick Joe Rogan as a person to follow because you may hate him, like him, but you have to respect what he has to say because he backs and believes what he says. But he's also willing to forego his ego and relearn a lot of things as well. But he has the confidence in himself to be himself, which I think is more powerful than people trying to like drum up 1 million likes. So with video, I noticed that these professionals needed some kind of template to learn how to like be comfortable on camera. So I gave them, during this 5-day challenge, I gave them a template and an outcome. And what I did was giving them feedback on how to improve. Every time I watch a video, I give them applause because doing video is super hard. And also one tiny actionable feedback for them to improve on their next video. So within the 5th video take, they know that it's not about how to like script or how to edit, but having like an easy way to do one take video that's super authentic to them. So if I have to like give any tips for any newbies or any beginners, is just use your smartphone. Our smartphone is a very powerful tool, and social videos don't like it when you go over time anyway. They prefer you doing 2-minute videos that's short, sharp, one takes because it feels authentic. And it has like a bit of a structure to it, a hook, a little bit of body, and a call to action. So that's the simple ways of like doing videos, right? You're welcome to like join in that video challenge because Sean, I feel like you have a world of knowledge. That's why I like LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, I forgot that there's these comments as well. LinkedIn or videos is a powerful tool, and LinkedIn has so many smart people. Like think about it. 650 million smart people here, and no one's sharing knowledge. That makes me sad. Cool. That's a great chat. So I have actually had a list of a lot of things. We talked about personal branding. We talked about LinkedIn influencers and the power of influencers. And anyone could be an influencer. All you have to do is create awesome content, original content that's authentic, that's relevant to your audience, to your brand, and then you build up an audience. It's like the chicken and egg, right? Like if you want to build up an audience, you need to build up content. But for you to have content, you have to find your voice. So over time, you find that you'll have the trifecta effect where you have content, audience, and brand. Yeah, and video is definitely worth pursuing because very few people do it properly, and it's a really good trust accelerator. Cool. Oh, here's a really good tip. Connections is a powerful way. Oh, commenting. I feel like commenting is, there's two underrated types of content that I don't think people are leveraging right now, and that is comments and polls. Polls, I just realized like recently when I've been experimenting, and I experiment quite a lot, is that finally they're added views onto polls. But regardless, like polls allows you to collect data, engage with your community, and it allows you to see how many people contribute. And I noticed that the second metric of views has just been added on as well. But I feel like polls is something that people should utilize more as a way to test out their thinking, test out their theory, do market research. But you can't solicit data like health, religion, politics, and stuff like that. That's sensitive data. But they're happy for you to like talk about other things as well. So I did one about favorite fried chickens. So that's really cool. And if anything, I had a comment that was super interesting calling my content spam, and I called him out. This is what happens when you know and you have to protect your friend as well. He wasn't a troll, but I knew that he wasn't part of my community because he didn't understand the fried chicken brand. Oh, that's a good one, Roger. He didn't understand the fried chicken brand, so I called him out and said, well, it's not spam when it's relevant to my brand and my community gets the joke. It's like an in-joke. So clearly, like what I'm trying to say in subtext is that he wasn't my community. He deleted it because he realized when he looked at my profile that I had fried chicken references around. So, don't call, sometimes if there's something random, doesn't mean it's totally random, but I could understand why people think LinkedIn is turning into Facebook, because Facebook trains people well in terms of like what grabs people's attention. And a lot of times I feel like a lot of people are just adding everyone because they think that's the fastest and most efficient way to create connections and audience. On monetizing, okay, well, I'll go answer Roger's like KG Ho. This is my way of making money. But if you're like interested in, for example, of being an influencer, you should join the Trusted Circle because I teach the frameworks of how to build your brand, how to build an audience, and how to leverage LinkedIn. But if you're serious about being an influencer and product, and how to like cultivate relationship with brands, you need those little attributes and assets to reach out to brands and say, hey, can you pay me? Oh, what I'm trying to say is you should join the Trusted Circle if you're considering wanting to be a LinkedIn influencer. So Roger asked, thank you for like, it's been a big milestone. What is your favorite post or video that you've done in the first 3 years? It's my first LinkedIn video. It's a milestone. And I didn't share this story, did I? Before I was on LinkedIn, I actually thought it was this dodgy, boring, old man's world. And, I didn't feel like it suited my personality. And still doesn't, I reckon. The UX is terrible. Videos don't get stored or portfolio. So there's some things that I know that could be improved on. But I'm always thankful for the opportunity that LinkedIn has given me because it gave me a global brand deal with Lenovo. And that wouldn't happen if I wasn't a LinkedIn influencer. And also I have a startup because of this as well. So LinkedIn has just given me that higher trust factor. So if I was like to build my following on Snapchat, I wouldn't have this kind of momentum compared to other channels as well. So before I was on LinkedIn, I was on Snapchat, and I was an award-winning channel producer. I had like women in tech. We grew rapidly. We invited amazing influencers. We won one award specifically for the best Snapchat channel. And I was actually thinking of switching gear to Instagram because I knew that Instagram was going to fly, and my hypothesis was right. But LinkedIn, one of the team members who looks after the product development for the video, invited me and knocked on my message. Yes, they knocked. String, I love your LinkedIn. I love your videos. Would you like to be part of the beta program for videos? I was like, yes, I love testing out products. And what happened was that I got access to LinkedIn videos. Like I was one of the first early adopters. I was like the OG of LinkedIn in terms of videos. And since then, the first video that I did, and this is specifically a special one, was one I did with a friend where we rapped together and we had videos together. And I thought it was the irony, I think I had a growth on there because I said live, because I thought it was a live stream tool, but it was actually just a video recording tool. And typically what I usually say is like you should record first, then upload, because you don't know if you will lose your video if you record. So I actually think that that first video is always special because that's like the first video that went viral, 100,000. And my second favorite video was part of a hashtag campaign. I forgot what it was, but I just remember sharing my story about my late brother. So that's my favorite. What should an organization do to tap into different global markets? That's a super broad question, Arnold Ho. Hey, there's two Ho's here, Mr. KG Ho and Mr. Arnold Ho. Mr. Arnold Ho may ask, what should organizations do to tap into different global markets? So you're thinking about go-to-market strategies. It depends on what organizations that you're part of, like what industry you're part of. Like technically it's all about networks, right? This is out of my scope to tell the truth. But if I had to use it on my own personal context, for example, if I want to like build up my startup and move to Asia, what I would do is I partner up with certain key entrepreneurial networks, tap into that, offer my product, do a referral monetization or a partnership split and do a revenue split. For every head or member that converts into the program, I give them a percentage. Thank you, Roger. I will keep on being unique and quirky and my own thoughts because that's the only way I know how to be. That's what I would do. If I was to expand to Asia, because I know the appetite for personal branding and confidence is real. It's one of the reasons why Toastmasters made, how much did Toastmasters make last year? They made over $340 million in revenue and they're a non-for-profit. And all they talk about is leadership and confidence. Oh, Toastmasters profit. Toastmasters made $34 million in revenue in 2016, just talking about leadership and confidence. So that's a good advice. Is there a sweet spot for type of video content on LinkedIn right now? No, you missed out the whole conversation that I had before, which was talking about how to use video to build up your personal brand, because you have, like, I don't know what you have. Arnold, what kind of expertise are you in? Arnold Ho. You have customer experience, ways of working, service, and product delivery. That's 3 things. What are you an expert in? So this is the thing about branding, is if you don't know how to position yourself, people come to you confused. Like, are you a customer experience person, expert? Or do you care about way of working? Or do you care about service and product delivery? See what I mean? So if you do videos, people will look at you and visit you, they could be confused. But it sounds like you're about culture. And then the first line talks about you being in biomedicine bachelor degree of University of Melbourne, which kind of like defeats customer experience expertise. So what I'm trying to say is that, dude, what do you want to be known for? Your LinkedIn should be backing up what are you being known for and honing in on that positioning and brand yourself as an authority or credible person for customer experience. Yeah, Sean, you're on point. I should get you on like my LinkedIn interviews and we could just geek out about marketing and goals. You need to know, again, I love what John says. There's an untapped opportunity of employees being a distribution because they're more authentic. It's like using a similar model of influencer marketers, right? Influencer marketers are not celebrities. celebrities are out of touch in terms of that they're out of reach, whereas influencers, micro-influencers, we relate to them because we find them to be authentic and we find that we could hang out with them. And that's the authenticity part, being relatable, being attainable, right? And that's the kind of same concept that you could have with an employee, because an employee has an untapped audience who they connect with, and they don't think about audience, real connections. And if they endorse a product, that's like a referral and recommendation on their own part. So I do feel like there's an untapped market for professional brands or employee branding, where if they just like push content out once a week from their own end, that's authentic. They could promote the culture of the company. They could, share what their thoughts about things in the industry. What they do is they increase the brand lift, recruit better people that actually reflects the culture better and their values, and it's free marketing. So, I feel like there's an untapped resource by not leveraging employees. They're like influencers. They're their own influencers themselves. Commenting. I wanted to share this underrated technique, content, because on LinkedIn, they have like this activity tab, meaning that every time you comment, every time you like, it gets tracked and documented in your LinkedIn profile. And so that means that if you don't want to be a content creator and create content and don't have time for creating content, what you can do is leverage other people's content and add your insights and influence and conversation to it. And Sean's like my interview person here today. And what you can do is you can use comments as a way, like your own tiny insights into the conversation that contextualize your conversations and your comments. So you should comment more, comment thoughtfully, comment meaningfully, and find the right people that you could have conversations with, because you could write almost like mini essays or like showcase your expertise and authority inside a comment. So if anything, I hope you, after listening to this, would like think about how to like create meaningful comments into content that's relevant to you. No, Sean, don't be sorry. That's an Asian thing to do, by the way, apologizing. But I know you don't mean it. If anything, I feel like you're like helping moving the conversation along and make it more interesting, because I like having conversations with people. Nancy said some really good points, that LinkedIn helps drives authenticity and trusted conversations. What recommendations would you provide to get C-suites on board to leverage untapped personnel's employee branding? I find that many are stuck in the fear factor of untapped resources. So a friend of mine taught me the power of champions. And for you to get permission or like high level ups, right, to back you up, you need to find someone who will back up that kind of thinking and educate them and show them the numbers and show them the stats. But also, because people don't like supporting things that don't have a execution or contributes to the major vision or goals of the business. So what you can do is find a champion who backs up your thinking, and what they do, they champion your like thinking about employee marketing and get them even lead the way. So if you can somehow make them show the benefits of LinkedIn through their own personal channels, they probably would likely other people will see the effect, and or you could do it yourself first and show them the results as well. So either find a champion, but for you to find a champion, you need results. So unfortunately, Nancy, you have to lead the way. So you have to be the leader. You have to innovate. You have to be the outlier that brings in the innovation to your teams, because that's only, innovation happens through the outskirts. It doesn't happen internally, right? So you got to do things that's different. I definitely noticed there's less organic reach engagement from my own company's page and person. Yes, because you know why? Companies post, okay, I have so many theories. So Sean, back me up on this if I'm right or wrong. And Sean works for LinkedIn, by the way. Company pages and LinkedIn profile, how they work in terms of distribution is there are people don't follow company pages. What they do is they add themselves under the company page, because that's how like LinkedIn was work. If you think of Google as the index of information, then LinkedIn is the index of people. So the way it works means that like people actually don't go out of the way to connect or follow company pages. Their natural inclination is actually to follow and connect with people. So naturally over time, it's easier to build up a following and even connections as a LinkedIn profile in your own personal account versus LinkedIn company pages. But I think that will change dramatically over time. So then what happens is that because like if you want to do advertising, unfortunately you need a company page. Yes, so Nancy, it looks like you're doing great stuff. If you show the results and show them the way, pretty much you're the LinkedIn champion inside your companies. And all you have to do is set up workshops, help them do it. If anything, just like level up their education on how to use LinkedIn properly. And if you need some tips, reach out. I'm happy to share that because this is what I do all the time. I make a living showing how to use LinkedIn properly. Who knew that would be a thing? So I have this game, and thank you for like bot or not. Connection requests is probably the most automated, salesy, spammy place, and I love it. Why do I love it? I love it because it gives me so much fodder for content. Like the amount of really weird, really robotic, really non-human messages that comes my way is amazing. Oh, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, that's a whole nother conversation in itself. Gong.io, what's Gong.io, Sean? I think my favorite one is like, I think women, there's this really amazing channel where they have 1 million followers. I think it's like it celebrates feminism. It's one of my, like, I'm happy to see that kind of content that pops into my feed, and a lot of people seem to love that as well. So I do think, you know, I feel like over time company pages will be more like a magazine kind of experience, sharing the insights and thoughts. And I think usually, who was it? I can't think of any names at the moment of company media pages that does it well on LinkedIn. Anyway, Times New York? No, I haven't seen any interesting stuff from them yet. Yin, AYE. So LinkedIn is definitely known as a lead generation. And even if you know how to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you need to know how to like deliver on-point first messages. For example, I can't believe I'm going to use this dating analogy. Would you send someone random who doesn't know you, you're a stranger, and the first message that you send them is like, hey, I really love your LinkedIn profile, let's connect. Would you add that person based on that message? Does that sound human, relatable, personable, trustworthy? So if you want to use Sales Navigator, you have to know how to deliver on-point first messages where it sounds like you're reaching out to them, because as a human, you want to reach out to them. As a business, as a human, you know, like, don't be a bot. So LinkedIn is amazing in terms of that. I find that people, I have people who are Italian lead gen or LinkedIn marketers talking to me in Italian or sending me their messages in Italian, German, and other languages because they didn't put the settings right. So I laugh at that. If you want to use Sales Navigator, again, like LinkedIn, like I have to say, Sales Navigator is probably the most powerful tool out there. And if you're looking for clients, projects to reach out to certain key decision makers, it's a powerful tool. Expensive, but powerful. So you need to almost use it to point of when I think about it, paying $99 Australian dollars, and if I convert that to a really worthwhile client, it pays for itself. Have I converted and gained clients on this? Yes, I have. They usually send me fried chicken messages as their first message. Yes, I know. Random, not random for me, random for other people, but people who send me fried chicken typically gives a sign that they read my content and they actually spent the time consuming my content. So I always have time for people who send me fried chicken stories. Okay, I feel like I shared a lot, quite a day and information. So I'm glad that I pushed this out. I was pretty nervous, but I had a fun conversation sharing my knowledge today. There's a lot of people interested. Arnold, Nancy. I can't even reach out to Mr. KJ Ho because I feel like he wants to do something. What else would you like to know more about on LinkedIn? I'm not usually active on LinkedIn. And by the way, if you use Sales Navigator, I recommend that you push out content on your own side to show that you're human, clean up your LinkedIn profile, think about your positioning, and a good message actually understands who they're targeting as well. Yes, thank you for tuning in. Even if there's only 19 people today, I feel like I had fun, and that's the point. I feel like a lot of people think that they need hundreds and thousands of people having good conversations, but it's not about that. It's just sharing knowledge. We want more. Sharing knowledge, having fun, because video is energy and video is also a lot of fun. And if you could show your personality without wearing a mask, you'll be fine. Like if you can do a video, do a Zoom call, then you could do a live stream as well. Thank you, everyone. And I don't know if I'm going to do this on a regular basis or not, but I felt like I needed this massive urge to go on and share my 3-year milestone. So thank you for people who watched this. That's okay. Like Sean, you already know my wish list. I would love somehow to save my videos on LinkedIn so it doesn't disappear. Yes, stay healthy, stay safe, and hopefully I see you again online. Maybe.